Your favorite black creator on Webtoons, they're a colorist. Can't even have two brown, dark-skinned people be friends. I get it. Like, you are bending to the whim of the viewers, and you know deep down that viewers don't want to see too many dark-skinned people in the same time, in the same panel. Whenever I try to subliminally call out black creators and their problematic subject matters. So real quick, your favorite black creator on Webtoons, they're a colorist, especially if they're a male creator. Because it can't just be a coincidence that, out of like the 6 I've read, all of them have a problem with colorism. Light-skinned protagonists fighting darker-skinned antagonists. The light-skinned, usually a woman, love interest. Meanwhile, the dark-skinned woman, not necessarily an antagonist, but is very more masculine than any of the women lighter in their group. And like that stuff is going to be blatant. I'm going to be seeing that. I'm going to be keeping track of that because it happens too often. And I'm seeing a pattern here. And then, it gets so far to the point where it's like you can't even have two brown, dark-skinned people be friends. Sure, okay, you want one of them to, when it comes to being the love interest, being a lighter skinned person. Sure, that's like the trope nowadays. But even as friends in the group that don't come together as a couple, it's like that's not allowed either. They gotta have the same trope, the darker skinned friend with a lighter skinned friend. Never friends within the same skin tone range. And it's like, I get it. You are bending to the whim of the viewers, and you know deep down that viewers don't want to see too many dark-skinned people in the same time, in the same panel, in whatever fashion. So you gotta at least line it up for their comfort. But you still can't be like, oh, I'm here to represent black people. I'm here for representation of black people so they could see us in this kind of way. But it's classist in a way where only the lighter skinned people get these positive roles in your story, but the darker skinned people kind of get almost like a backhanded kind of role. Y'all are too busy aura farming with these characters and making white fantasies just in black. As for the black women that make Webtoons, I unfortunately have trouble finding those women. I've only read one so far, so I can't really make an assessment of a pattern that I've been seeing. But when it comes to the male webtooners that make these shonen-esque kind of comic books, mangas, it's very blatant, the colorism in those things.
A few moments later.
This is the second time it's happened. Whenever I try to subliminally call out black creators and their problematic subject matters that they either purposely put in or subliminally put into their book, people recommend the book that they believe doesn't have those problematic elements, and it's exactly the book I'm talking about. One of the first examples was Black Sands. When it comes to black comic books that have colorism in it, Ordeal is one of them. You could see it right at the prologue of the webtoon when they're displaying the abilities people may have. The first character you see is of a white man. I'm assuming it's a white man. He's got light skin and straight blonde hair, but it could very much well be just a light-skinned black person. This character is being displayed having a water ability. Water abilities aren't necessarily masculine, more so on the feminine side, but never really hostile outright unless it's ice. And even then, people don't really see ice as outright dangerous because it's still water by the end of the day. It's refreshing, it's cooling, humans cannot live without it. So water having that as an ability is very approachable. The second character they show having an ability is a darker skinned woman, and her ability is displayed through spikes protruding through her skin. Very jagged, looks very rough, and having that ability displayed on the first dark skinned woman you see displayed in your book comes off very masculine. Once the prologue is over, you see the very first fight. You see your light skinned protagonist with the blonde locks fighting a dark skinned rival, an opponent. in the fight. And I think they try to negate this dark skinned character being black by giving him Eurocentric features, thin nose, thin lips, straight, short hair. But they gave him the dark skin and beady eyes that you would see in racial caricatures of black people. And once again, he's giving the ability that's displayed as hostile, spikes, and it even affects his face, making him look less human as this light-skinned, handsome, blonde hair protagonist beats them up. And then after the fight, the protagonist goes into the bathroom, freshens up, and I believe like 2 or 3 men enter the bathroom threatening him because he was technically supposed to lose the fight. Guess the skin tone of the men that's threatening our light-skinned protagonist. At this point, I see this as a tone setter. Okay, darker skinned people are displayed as hostile, inhuman, and the abilities that they do get will display them as just outright threatening instead of just having an ability like you would see when someone has the ability of water. Because at this point, all I'm ever seeing is this light-skinned protagonist beat up darker-skinned characters. And then I'm also clocking the skin tone of the women that are either around or interact with the protagonist. And as far as I've read, they've all been light-skinned. They had been flirty with him or flirty with the other characters that interact with like the supporting characters, but they're all within the light skin range. I told myself, the first dark-skinned woman I see that has like a predominant role in this will determine whether I stay to continue reading this book or just drop it once I see how this dark-skinned woman is displayed compared to like what I've seen from the lighter-skinned women. I'm also clocking the dark-skin to light-skin ratio of the people just going on in the background because this takes place in the islands, in the Caribbean, Trinidad. And I'm noticing like a handful of darker skinned people in the background when I know that can't be right because this is in the Caribbean, unless it's been so colonized to the point where dark skinned people are now the minority in their own islands. And so I keep reading until I get to the first dark skinned woman that has a predominantly role in this webtoon. And she is just basically Nick Fury. She got the eye patch, she seems scarred up. She's military based. So it's like, okay, after seeing all these very feminine, flirty, light-skinned women, when it came to like the protagonist or the friends of the protagonist, I now see the first dark-skinned woman with a role, and she's just very masculine, very rough around the edges. And it's like, all right, I think I'm done. And that was my first impression years ago. I think 2022, 2023, when I saw people in the comments of certain comic book videos talking about ordeal. So I took a chance at it. Didn't really like the subliminals I was seeing. It's very well drawn. It's very well colored. I just can't see past all the colorism that's very blatant within the characters and the background and everything else that seems to be going on. And so I didn't look at it years later. I had the hopeful thought that, okay, maybe he will address it. Maybe there will be more black characters added into the main cast. Maybe they will point out the colorism, or maybe they will pick it up themselves and address it in the newer issues. Until I saw this on my Instagram and I was like, okay, yeah, this hasn't changed since the first time I read it. There's now a darker skinned black woman in the group, it seems, so that's an improvement. But it's like he's allergic to even having 2 black skinned people, dark skinned people within the vicinity of one another, even in the same drawing, because it's like darker skin, lighter skin, darker skin, lighter skin, lighter skin, darker skin. Like, are you that afraid to put 2 black people side by side to one another, even if they're either lovers or friends? Like, this can't be what Trinidad and Tobago looks like nowadays, where there are no black people, no dark-skinned people being paired up with one another. I know that's not true because I literally follow a creator with him and his wife, and they're around the same skin tone range. So dark-skin love must still exist in Trinidad and Tobago. It just doesn't seem to exist in this comic book. So yeah, there's my rant. And I feel like, just like the first time I addressed it, there are going to be a slew of fans coming into my comment section, maybe even the creator, I hope not, but a slew of fans coming into the comment section trying their hardest to deny that Ordeal doesn't have any problems with colorism when it blatantly does. Like, you can't, like, no one could be, yeah, I'm here to represent black people in my comic book, but then don't represent the black people that have darker skinned lovers just as themselves, and then also portray black stereotypes within black people in your black comic book. Like, I had to deal with it when addressing Black Sans, when it came to, like, what was going on with him and his fans, and then I had to do it again with the creator of the Flame comic book series. And this is the reason why I have to say it in subliminals at first, because so far I've got the track record that if I even critique a black male creator on their comic book, the fans will be hostile, if not the creator of that fan base himself.
I guess even though we were free, we were still slaves in the mind.
Message! The bamboo earrings, baby.